how to do recovery without feeling overwhelmed. It's so tricky for people because when they're going through chronic fatigue syndrome, like if you see a sign on someone's clinic that says chronic fatigue syndrome treatment recovery, you're walking past a shop and it's a Chinese medicine person or a naturopath and you see those words, fibromyalgia treatment. It's so hard because so many people have gone and done that, and you might have been that person who's gone into that clinic and spent $1,000 or whatever it was and tried the potions and a couple of, alternative therapies for 3 sessions. And the person at the start of the session said, are you going to feel better in 3 sessions or 5 sessions or 10 sessions? But the problem is after the 3 sessions, you start to notice that there hasn't been much noticeable improvement. Maybe you improve just a little bit, but you don't go, wow, like I'm cured, which is what you were hoping for. And so, it's so common to feel so scared and not trusting and trustworthy of anybody. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode at CFS Health, where we're going to talk about how to stop the overwhelm with chronic fatigue syndrome or insert any other illness, long COVID, POTS, post-viral fatigue syndrome, how to stop the overwhelm as you're trying to recover. We've got General Manager here, Ash Ward. Hey, Ash.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to jam on this today because, basically runs the program day to day. And so she sees so many new members come into the mentorship. And so, Ash, you've got firsthand experience every single month hearing these types of stories of overwhelm and spending $30,000 on treatments that haven't worked and feeling really that desperation of just like, is this going to, how is this going to work? And am I going to get better? And all these doubts and all these fears and all these questions. And so today we're going to dive deep into how does it stop that overwhelm and just so you can just start getting healthy and ultimately get better. Before we get into that, I want to share with you, we've got an amazing announcement for you, and I don't want you to miss out on this opportunity just in case it's for you. We have our famous Foundations by CFS Health short course running again in 2024. The team, particularly Ash, has been working very, very hard on making this even better than it was last year, which was phenomenal. We had 355 people from all around the world enroll in Foundations, which is our short course. It goes for around 4 weeks. It's about 30 days. And in that 30 days, we're going to help you solidify and find your baseline, right? If you are lost and you're overwhelmed and you feel like you need to try a million different things, you're probably missing the one thing that you actually need, which is proper routine and structure that's appropriate for your capacity so you can have a baseline, so you stop pushing and crashing. And when you do that, you start to stabilize and then you can start to make progress. So this is a 4-week jumpstart program designed specifically for people with chronic fatigue syndrome, long COVID, POTS, post-viral fatigue, and fibromyalgia to help them get a clear path to recovery. Now, obviously, we're not going to get, fully recovered in 4 weeks, although you never know. Some people might be at that point where they've done so much and this was the last tiny, tiny, tiny piece of the puzzle they needed. But this is a fantastic opportunity to really sort your recovery out properly and do this properly from the start. So this is really designed to help you stop those ups and downs, reclaim your energy, and really from there start to make progress so you can start to get healthy and start living again. So anything to add there, Ash, that anyone needs to know about? There's a wait list as well.
Yeah, we'll be opening the waitlist really soon, and that will be available for those who just want to know the information as soon as we release it, which will be coming out really, really soon. But
go to the website. Go to the website, cfshealth.com. There'll be something there about Foundations very, very soon. Or if you look around this page, on the page that you're on, there'll be a link that will say cfshealth.com/foundations something else, and you can go on the waitlist. I think there's already 1,500 people who are waiting from last year to partake in it.
And we're very popular.
Yeah, it's super popular. We're going to have some fun, right? You get to work with me. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to help everyone inside Foundations, get the most out of it as possible. You're going to have accountability. You're going to get coaching for those 30 days. You're going to get support. You're going to get into a private group with all the other amazing members who are on the same path as you, right? And thanks to Mr. Ryan Bowles, we're doing a prize giveaway too. And it's not a small prize. There's over $11,000 worth of giveaways now, which I'm so excited about. Ash has actually already ordered all the giveaways, but you can basically win up to $11,000 worth of giveaways if you partake in foundations in this round of May 2024. So yeah, make sure when you see it, jump on it. All the details will be released very, very soon. And Ash, any final words from you? I mean, you've been part of it too.
No, I think you've summed it up. Apart from that, I'm so excited for this round. I think, like you said, it's going to be even better than last round. And it's such, all of our spaces hold such wonderful community as well. So not only are there going to be trainings and frameworks and, access to you, Toby, of course, but also the community in a smaller hub, of course, but just, even last round, people made friends in this group.
So
I think the support there, is phenomenal in itself.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
So good. So when you see that Foundations is open, please take it as an opportunity to come and hang out with us for 4 weeks and just ultimately change your life. Like we had one lady, Helen. She hadn't, I don't know if you remember this, it was our first ever one we did. It was almost 2 years ago, the baseline kind of one. And Helen, when she joined that, she hadn't worked in 11 years, so never had a paycheck in 11 years. Within 6 weeks, she got her first part-time job again. Like she literally got her baseline right and things started to click for her. And she posted in the group, I just got my first paycheck in 11 years.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and Helen's like in her 50s, like everyone says like you can't get better when you're older, which is not true. We see it every day. But just so cool for someone. And I think that was her last bit of money that she could invest in herself to help herself as well. Now, the good thing is it's a smaller fee. It's not the normal mentorship fee, but she got a paycheck within 5 weeks. 11 years. Like not just a short time. So your life can be different, but you have to choose something different. So I invite you to come over to Foundations when the time is right. Let's get into today's episode, how to do recovery without feeling overwhelmed. Ash, what's the theme that you see at the moment in the world where, people are coming into CFS Health and they're enrolling and they're getting started? What's the common theme, 9 out of 10 people do when they start? Just so people can relate.
For sure. And I think, like you said at the start, Toby, very, feeling very overwhelmed, not knowing where to start, nervous, scared, spent $30,000, if not more, on finding answers. And is this going to work, or is this going to be another thing that doesn't work? Which is how you opened this episode. But I think the first thing that's very normal. Of course you would be feeling like that, right? Like, Of course, anyone would be when you've gone to every corner to try and find the answers and try and fit all the puzzle pieces together. Of course, you're going to feel that way. It's all very valid. A theme, though, with this overwhelm, of course, is trying to find all of the different pieces and fit it all together at once. Right? Fast.
Which just, as you say it out loud, doesn't really make sense. But, it's like, that's not going to work. Like, we know logically that's not going to work. But as you said before about going to all corners of the earth to try and find the answer, I'm glad you brought that up because it brought me back. It's so tricky for people because when they're going through chronic fatigue syndrome, like, if you see a sign on someone's clinic that says chronic fatigue syndrome treatment recovery, right? You're walking past a shop and it's a Chinese medicine person or a naturopath, and you see those words, fibromyalgia treatment. It's so hard because so many people have gone and done that, and you might have been that person who's gone into that clinic and spent $1,000 or whatever it was and tried the potions and a couple of, alternative therapies for 3 sessions. And the person at the start of the session said, you're going to feel like, you can get better. You're going to feel better in 3 sessions or 5 sessions or 10 sessions. They're kind of like the hero, the guru of the person's journey, which is a total shame and doesn't work like that anyway for recovery. But the problem is after the 3 sessions, you start to notice that there hasn't been much noticeable improvement. Maybe you improve just a little bit, but you don't go, wow, like I'm cured, which is what you were hoping for. And so, it's so common to feel so scared and not trusting and trustworthy of anybody, right? And you're right, it is so valid because of those amount of experiences. I mean, I remember when I was going through it almost 20 years ago, like just going to doctor's clinics was just so, like it gives me the ick because I was just like, this guy doesn't care about me. He doesn't understand it. He's 70 years old. He doesn't even look healthy himself. Like, what is he going to teach me, And of course, most of the time it was really not great advice. Like, you just need to push yourself. You need to sweat it out. You need to eat healthy and sleep well. It's like, well, yeah, how? Like, how do I do all that when I can barely function throughout the day? And, so I remember when I started working with people one-on-one in my health clinic, after I got better and did all my training and all that kind of stuff. And I'd have these people come into me feeling the same way that I felt going to the doctors, going, who's this Toby guy? I don't want to go. You could see it in their face. They're like, another person to come and see. And most of the time it was the parents pushing the kid to come and see me, right? Particularly as teenagers. You've got to go see this guy. He's helped so many people with chronic fatigue syndrome. You've got to go see him. And I knew the feeling that they already were going to have. So I made sure that they didn't experience what I had to experience back then. And so the first thing I would say when they'd come into my clinic, and this, Steph Ryan. So Steph's our movement specialist here at CFS Health. Now, she did my first ever program back in like 2012 or something crazy like that. Like, it was a long time ago. Steph at the time was 16. Now she's 27. Like she's amazing. She's an exercise scientist. She's like a phenomenal coach, and she helps all our members with their movement and recovery. And when Steph came in, she was really, really unwell, and her mum forced her to come. She didn't want to be there. I remember this girl, she walked up my stairs, she had this hoodie on, and she wouldn't even look up. Like, she just didn't want to be there. And so she kind of walked into my office, and I could see her because I was with another client finishing up. And when I walked into my office, she was sitting on my couch, laying down with the hoodie on so I couldn't see her face. She just didn't want to see me. And I said, Steph, are you Steph? Yeah. And her mum, oh, hi, I'm Melissa. Hey, Melissa. I said, Steph, you don't want to be here, do you? And she kind of looked up. She was surprised at that comment. And I said, if I was you, I wouldn't want to be here either. I'm like, your mum probably made you come, didn't she? Yeah. I said, I know. And I said, and you're probably thinking I'm going to be like every other person that you've seen who's boring, who doesn't care about you, who doesn't understand what you're going through, and is just going to say, good luck. I said, Steph, I'm not that guy. Like, I'm here to help you, and it's possible to get better. It makes me emotional just thinking about it because, she, like, Steph, you look at Steph now, like, she's phenomenal. She's so strong. She lifts more weights than me in the gym.
Yeah.
But that moment was pivotal for her because her eyes lit up when I said, I'm not that guy. You don't have to see another person like that ever again. Like, we're just going to focus on your recovery. We're going to do what works, and we're going to be consistent with it. And I said, I'll never ask you to do something that I don't think is good for you. I'm not the dude who's 70 with a big fat belly gut who's sitting there pretending to be healthy. And her eyes lit up. And what was crazy was, that girl who walked in that door walked out a different person. The hoodie was off by the end of the session. The face was up, not down. And what was crazy was every single week after that, it was like a spring was in her step. Now, the crazy thing was she wasn't better yet, but she was getting better, and it was those small, minute changes and moments, and even in the attitude of now I want to come. And then when she was doing the daily tracking and filling out her forms every week and showing me what she was doing, and we were joking about the other day because she just got her hair done. And she was on a group call the other day. I said, oh, I love your hair, Steph. It looks great. And she said, I remember when I used to come and see you in the health clinic 10 years ago, and I'd have the nails, and every week you would comment on my nails. And I said, I do remember that. I said, I did that because I wanted you to realize that you're a human being too, and that I'm a human, and that I can notice these things. And so it was fun because every week she'd come in with a different set of nails, like she'd paint them and put little dots on them, and she was just being 16. And so it was crazy, like those tiny little moments added up. And, obviously we did the right things at the right time, and she built up and she was able to run again. And then she went back to school, and then she studied, and now she's kicking goals. But I went on a massive tangent there. But the whole point of that story was it sucks when you just keep seeing more people who don't actually understand. Like, they say they do, but they don't.
Mm. Which I think then naturally is going to send you into a Google frenzy, right? Of, okay, well, if I'm seeing people and I'm not really getting any real help, it's only me that I'm going to Google, and I'm going to look at, okay, well, all right, maybe I need to start with my sleep. Maybe I need to start with my nutrition. Maybe it's my stress. Maybe it's my job. Maybe it's like, should I go to the gym? Should I not go to the gym? You know, it opens up a really like a Pandora's box of, which is then where, of course, the overwhelm can start. Because if you have a clear plan, or until you have a clear plan, of course you're going to feel overwhelmed because you're trying to figure out it all on your own.
Mm.
And that's a lot to try and know what to do first, until you can find something that has a really clear path forward.
Kind of like that with anything though, like with weight loss, with education, with socializing, like jobs, training in the gym, like it's like if you don't have a program or a clear plan or a pathway, even if you set it up yourself, like you're better off setting up a plan for yourself than just waking up each day and having no plan. Half the time we don't even know what we're doing, you know, and that's why having that outside point of view is important.
Yeah. So a theme I saw this week with some new members that we had coming into the program, and we have our CFS Health mentors, and they'll always share, you know, a little bit of their journey. They're here now to support. Some of our coaches, mentors are here, of course, and they join us on our new member live group calls each month.
So our mentors are like guides. For anyone who doesn't know, like our mentors are people who have been in the CFS Health world for some time, usually a year or longer, and they're really going well, right? They've made huge, significant progresses in their health and their life, and they're kind of like inspiration guides to our newer members. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they've been in that new member seat themselves. They've walked the path. They're now integrating back into life.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we always ask them to share, you know, because I think what they have to share is so powerful because they've walked this journey before. So especially to new members, it's absolute gold in terms of just wisdom and feeling understood, which is very important. And so the theme this month was really interestingly that a lot of the mentors shared separately on, in their own recovery, what really, really worked for them was focusing on one thing at a time. And how much that, in reflection of them looking back, now they can be like, that was such a pivotal decision that they made, was to focus just on one thing at a time. And of course, they were still feeling like they remember the feelings of overwhelm, of like, okay, I need to do this, nutrition and sleep and stress and everything. So where do I start? I'll do it, you know, a little bit here and a bit of this, and I'll try and do everything kind of perfect every day, which then creates a secondary form of overwhelm. But what they were reflecting was, I focused on one thing at a time. And one of our mentors, like what she shared was hers, it was sleep. That was all she focused on. Nothing else. She was going to get to everything else eventually. She knew that. But she knew she had to start with her sleep. And for 4 months, she focused on her sleep, or 2 to 4 months, she focused on her sleep, you know, and her sleep was something that was really bad.
Right.
And so she got to a point that it was then really good. And then she said that kind of then opened up for the next little thing. And it's not saying everyone starts with sleep.
No, that's right. Exactly.
Way.
Yeah.
But for her, that was her first big chunk, her first focus. Without the distractions, and you know, it really helped to reduce the overwhelm, to be like, okay, I'm here for the long-term sustainability change. I'm here for the long-term success of my health. I'm committed. I'm not here just to quickly get it, you know, that'll do. And moving on back into life. Like, I'm here to make some big changes, and my sleep is the biggest one, and I'm going to start there.
Yeah, it's great.
From there, when she got that, it was
open up the door. Yeah. Is that Lauren G? Yeah. Lauren G. Marco. She did a success story here. You'll be able to find it on our podcast or on YouTube. Just type in Lauren CFS Health Recovery story. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think I'd like to talk about 2 things. One, did you realize that it takes a minimum 6 to 8 weeks for the body to physiologically adapt to any type of overload? So that's kind of smart that Lauren did that, because it takes that amount of time for change to happen anyway, like minimum change, like the minimalist amount of change. And particularly when it comes to muscle building. So, and strength adaptation. So if we're training in the gym and, let's say, Ash, you go to the gym, because I know you lift really big weight. Can you just put up your arms and show me your biceps, please?
I don't go to the gym. I do yoga.
Ash does yoga, but no, she's got this tiny little frame. She's so small and lean. But let's say you go to the gym, Ash, and I'm like, all right, you got to train for 3 weeks, right? And I give you this perfect program. You do it for 4 days a week. And at week 3, you're going, Toby, why aren't my biceps getting bigger? I've been training I'm doing everything you're telling me. Why isn't it working? And then you give up. Week 4, you're like, screw this, it's not working. But the problem is you didn't realize that it actually takes 8 weeks for the body to physiologically adapt, for you to look in the mirror and go, oh, wow, there's my biceps again. Right. And we were on a game plan session the other day together with one of our members who shared that. Remember, I forget her name, Lucy, I think. And she was like, her biggest win was I've got my muscles.
Muscle tone.
Yeah, muscle tone's coming back. And she's been with us for about 5.5 months, which makes sense from the physiological adaptation point of view. I'd like to talk about, what if you have a clear plan, right? The plan is clear. You've got the information, you've got you've got everything you need, support system, coaching, program, videos, but you're still overcomplicating it. Because I feel like there's some members inside CFS Health who need to hear this message too, of like, you need to stop it. Like, you need to stop, like you're tripping yourself up. But I think it has to come from mindset, doesn't it? Like you can have the clearest plan, but if your mindset's not right around it, you're gonna trip yourself up and in some way, shape or form make it harder than it has to be.
For sure. And I think as humans, we want fast results.
Yeah, true.
We don't practice the patience that it takes and the grace on our body. It's that saying, and I'm going to get this wrong, but the analogy is the same of, we overestimate how much we can achieve in a week or a month and totally underestimate how much we can achieve in a year. And it's like things, yeah, for sure. And so I think we're sort of conditioned to really want to see fast-ish results, and everyone will have their own expectation of what that is, right? It might be like, okay, I want to see results within a week or within 3 weeks or within 1 month or within 6 months.
Yeah.
And when that's not achieved, it can be like clearly not working.
You failed. Yeah, I failed. I failed.
A different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, or the failure thing. Yeah.
For sure. And before we even allow ourselves to be like, well, I don't want to fail so quickly onto the next thing. I better find another answer. When really, we're just holding ourselves back from achieving what we want to, because we don't have the patience. We're scared of the failure. So we want to move on quickly before we can, think that we failed. It's easy just to move on quicker. When things are working under the surface, we just, need that patience. And I think that plays a big piece into it as well.
Well said. Far out. And this is why you're in the position you're in, because you're so aware of it all. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, Gemma Hanley says, our mindset coach, patience is the fastest way to recovery. And I'll say that slower. Patience is the fastest way to recovery. And you're right. I think there is a component of this fear of failing that I wasn't aware of for people, where they're embarrassed almost. It's almost like their worth is on the line every time something doesn't work or it hasn't clicked yet, and they're putting their worth into themselves as a recovery, but it's not. It's separate. They're not.
Yeah, and also it's scary. Like if this doesn't work, that's scary, because what's the next step? And that can be really scary too.
I think some key takeaways and advice here for anyone listening who's struggling with this is, number one, know that it can take time, and that, as Ash said, things are working under the surface, but time compounds everything. So if you want to build muscle, you need to have time and attention over time, right? That's why consistency, over intensity is our key theme here, particularly initially when you're starting your recovery. think second thing is don't tie your worth to your recovery. Like you know, I did a video the other day about identity. It's very popular on Instagram, you know, like hundreds and hundreds of saves and a few nasty comments and a few lovely comments. And, you know, it was about really like, you are not your illness. Like, you are not your illness. The only reason why you think you're your illness is because you're choosing that identity. And that is a choice. Now, your illness isn't a choice. That's not fun. You just got dealt a crappy hand. But how you choose to respond to that is up to you. And a lot of people really resonated with it because I think sometimes they tie their worth to their recovery and it kind of trips them up. Yeah. And then I think just like having a clear plan and just being committed, you know, like I feel like so many
One
people
thing at a
say
time.
committed to the one thing. Like I think so many people say they're committed. Yeah, I'm committed. Or how committed are you out of 10? Oh, well, no, 10, Toby. I'm a 10. All right, cool. We get off the phone. 3 minutes later, they're sitting there. Well, how committed am I really? Wow.
And it can be that it's that extra, you know, let's use the example of sleep because we were just talking about that. And it might be like, I'm so committed to my sleep. You know, okay, you identified that sleep might be, you know, a first focus to, you know, look at.
Yeah.
And when asked that question, it might be like, I'm so committed to my sleep. Of course I want to sleep every night. Like, of course I want to sleep through the night. I don't want to be getting up or have insomnia or not be able to get to sleep.
Yeah.
But, and this isn't going to be everyone. Of course, some people are going to be 10 out of 10 committed and doing the things. And then some people might be saying they're 10 out of 10 committed, but on their screens at 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
Or scrolling for a little bit too longer.
Or caffeine before bed. And
totally. Or overstimulating before. But, you know, there's so many things because our patterns will be tied within that. And change needs to happen to get a different result. And so it's looking at, you know, are you committed and where are you like tricking yourself sometimes too?
Yeah, that's right. And it takes time, like particularly with sleep. Sometimes it can take a long time. I had a client, as we wrap up, I had a client, like, he did a success story, Blake Thompson, fascinating story. Probably one of the worst cases I'd ever seen. Like his mum was petrified. Like he was grey in the face. He could barely come to my clinic. He wasn't well at all. And he'd seen every single doctor under the sun. He got tied up in a bed with all the sleep cables and did all that. And his sleep was so out of whack that he was waking up, he was going to bed at 6 a.m. in the morning when the sun was coming up. Like that's how bad it was. And it took us like 9 months of dedicated commitment. And there was a couple of weeks here and there where he would wane completely off. He wanted to quit. You know, he'd not coming in, and which was normal and appropriate. And we worked through those fears and those mindset blockages, and then we would get back to work. And, you know, Blake now, it's 10 plus years passed on now, but he's an accountant. He swims in the ocean 2 kilometers a day. Like he's
fully living.
Yeah, he's fully living. He's a great guy. But he didn't know, like, you know, he didn't think that was possible back then. But the key was that he just had to show up even if he didn't think it was possible. You know, like Tara Himes, another mentor for us, like or Putnam, sorry. I think it's Putnam now, Tara. She was the same. She did a success story recently on inside YouTube. Highly recommend. But she didn't believe it was fully possible for her. Like even when she was in working with us, like, and seeing people getting better, she still thought, I don't know, I lost $30,000 on the last treatment. Like, how's this going to work? And that I didn't realize that at the time until we had our interview together. And she said, oh, I didn't think I was going to get better even 6 months in. Even though I was getting better, I still didn't fully believe it. And I said, well, what kept you going? She said, well, I had no choice. Like, as long as I just kept waking up, even if I didn't believe in it, if I kept doing the things over time, it started to catch up with me. And I started to really go, wow, okay, well, I went from having to be in a wheelchair to now flying to San Francisco and dancing with my sister on a dance floor on a Thursday night in San Francisco for an hour and feeling great. You know, that's pretty sure signs of recovery. So yeah, I think sometimes it's showing up even if we don't believe. Like, we don't have to fully believe in everything until we do it. We can just do it, and then over time the belief will build.
Of course.
Yeah. Wow, great combo. I feel like we could write a book. We could put this episode in a book. It was so good. Maybe we should do that. Get it transcribed. Any last words from you, Ash? That was great.
I think we've covered it. My biggest is one step at a time. You know, the next focus And if you find yourself trying to get all the puzzle pieces at the same time, just stop it. Like, it's just not, it's a practice to come back to be like, no, I'm focusing on the next one thing.
What do I need right now?
Focusing on the next one. Sleep. One thing, is it sleep? Is it nutrition? Obviously, there's so many pieces to it, or there can be. But just remaining solid in, nope, I'm focusing on my sleep right now. I'm focusing on my nutrition right now. I'm focusing on whatever.
Yeah. Small changes add up, and that's why the first 2 months inside CFS Health, it's baseline. You know, like you're not going to movement or lifestyle integration. You're just getting the fundamentals right. And I've never met a successful recovery story that didn't do this.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, no one's ever come on a success story and goes, "Oh my God, I did 10 of the things at the once," and it's like no one ever said that.
Yeah, I did everything all at once and it worked. No, we've never heard that story.
No, so success leaves clues. Look at what everyone else is doing who's getting better, and then go and do that. Thanks as always, Ash. Love the conversation. And for you guys, if you need help, obviously you can go to cfshealth.com, put through an application. And of course, look out for our foundations course. Get on the wait list as soon as you possibly can. And when doors open early May, I think it is, be quick to jump in, because there is only a few days that it's going to be available for until we get to start together and meet you and help you move forwards. All right. Bye for now. And thanks a lot.